In Chicago for tomorrow's big upset of Oregon by Northwestern.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. You're so cute when you're chesty like this. It's so cute.
Don't try not to call me in the 2:30 hour tomorrow afternoon Central Time. I could be in a different disposition.
Do you recall how many points Oregon put up on Oklahoma State last week? I think it was
69.
more than a lot.
I watched.
Yeah, that's what I'd read.
Yeah.
I think it was only in 3 quarters, too.
It was.
Good luck. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Commanders struggle. The Eagles and Chiefs meet in a Super Bowl rematch, and a Browns safety takes a shot at Derrick Henry. But we begin today with last night's domination of Washington by the Green Bay Packers. The final score was 27-18, but it was not that close. Micah Parsons had 8 pressures and a half sack and 44 snaps. The Packers looked really good. Wilbon, what does this result say to you about Green Bay?
Same thing it did coming into the week. Same thing it did after week 1. Same thing it's going to say probably if they can stay relatively healthy after the next few weeks. The Packers, to me, are the best team in the NFC. And you can't put them over Philadelphia, so fine. So there's a line, and their co-faves right now are co-number 1s in the Wilbon Power Index. It's the Packers and the Eagles. And then the AFC, you can debate that all you want. You got all kinds of stuff going on over there. But Tony, where's the weakness? I mean, when you watched last night, I'm suspecting that it confirmed what you and I thought about the Packers coming out of Sunday's win, both at home, I will say, over the Lions and then over the Commanders. These are 2 teams that won 12 games or more last season. So they're not beating up on chumps. They're at home, but they're worthy opponents, either of which they could see in the postseason. I don't see a weakness. And if you put Micah Parsons out there, he doesn't have to record the actual sack. If he is just pressuring the quarterback and driving people crazy, that's the defensive catalyst the Packers need to pull them even, to me, with the Eagles.
Okay. So every once in a while, one of these boomlets works out. Every year, everybody tries to find the next big thing, the team with the buzz. And a lot of people this year going into the year said the Packers. You were one of these people that said the Packers. When they acquire Micah Parsons, that gives validity to this. And that's why Packers fans last night started to chant, "Thanks, Jerry." Okay, because now the Packers are through 2 games and they look sort of worthy. I'll go into the details on the teams that they beat. They go out there and they hold the Lions to 13 points. The Lions scored 33 a game last year. They hold Washington to 18 points. Mike, through the first 3 quarters last night, Washington only had 112 yards. And as you say, these are good teams. One of them was in the NFC Championship and one won the division that Green Bay was in. So you can't really start much better than this. I mean, I look at that team and I think I'm not saying they're the best team, but I am no longer laughing at you for going out there and saying that they are your Super Bowl team. No, they showed it. They did.
They're really good. Tony, and you know what? If Jordan Love, who people are picking for MVP, which seems a little bit much, but he's played really well so far. He hasn't been great. Like, if he has another level, which so many people think he does, I mean, this is,
I want to go back to Parsons for a second.
What's that?
Because Parsons is a predator out there. And
yes,
it reminds me, and I know it reminds you of the time that the Packers acquired Reggie White in 1997. And in the next 6 years, the Packers were 66-30 and they won a Super Bowl. And that's what this looks like and feels like right now.
He's a
right,
menace.
but it's early. Don't get breathless. It's the second game.
That's right. Stuff happens. Stuff happens.
Okay.
Let's move then, Tone, to the Commanders. Jaden Daniels in the offense struggled, and the team lost starting running back Austin Eckler to an apparent Achilles injury and defensive end Dietrich Wise to a quad injury. Both these things seem like season enders. Of course, Washington was on the road against a team we now agree is a top team. Tone, do you see this result as something the Commanders can just shake off, though?
I don't see this as injurious in the long term, all year long to Washington. I don't. I sat here yesterday and I told you I didn't think Washington was going to win this game.
Right.
the team that Washington beat in the first game, the Giants, wasn't nearly as good as the team that Green Bay beat, which was, Detroit. Then you have Green Bay at home, and it's a short week. It's a Thursday, so the visiting team, the road team, can only get about 1 day's worth of practice to prepare for this game. So I thought everything lined up for them. I don't. Let me see my notes here. The Eckler injury, that hurts. What hurt more last night was the total domination of the Washington offensive line by Green Bay. But again, I don't know if this has long-term effects, and I'll tell you why. Because this was not the kind of loss that Baltimore suffered at Buffalo when they collapsed in the fourth quarter, or the kind of loss that your Bears suffered when they collapsed in the fourth quarter. This was a legitimate beatdown. I think you stand up, you dust yourself off, and you hope for another shot in the playoffs down the road. But I don't think it's crippling.
I agree with you right down the line. Crippling only if you lose two guys you want to depend on to season-ending injuries. And they got some depth in those places, but they'd already traded a running back, so I don't know how that's going to work out. But, Tony, no, I agree with you. You look at this on the schedule, and even coaches, they're not going to tell us, well, they would tell us in the old days off the record. You'd sit around with coaches at 2 in the morning, and they'd say, look, there's some losses that, I remember the first time I heard this from a coach. Right. It's a schedule loss. And you think of it in NBA terms more, but it's the case in the NFL too, because now you got these stupid Thursday games, which, by the way, are pox on the product because they're usually awful.
I think they're good. Uncle Big Al is broadcasting them, makes me happy.
It's an event. The product is garbage. But the Commanders can look at this and say, look, we're going to get back to business here. This is not a division game, our division. It gives us something to shoot at the Packers for in the long run. I'm with you. You get up, you dust yourself off, you go back to work.
Let's not go crazy about the Washington team. I know they did very well last year. The year before that, they were 4-13. And nobody knew Jaden Daniels would be this good. So maybe they come back to earth a little bit. The next two games on the schedule, though, I believe are Raiders at home and then the Falcons, and those are winnable games. They're winnable games. So we'll see if this has long-term effect. Let's move now to the biggest game on the board this weekend, a rematch of last year's Super Bowl, Philadelphia and Kansas City. The 1-0 Eagles go on the road to the 0-1 Chiefs. Now, we know that in the last 35 years, teams that start 0-2 only have a 12% chance of making the playoffs. So, Wilbon, is this game a big deal, a little deal, or no deal at all for the Chiefs?
You know, Tony, I've shifted my thinking when first, considering this from little deal to maybe medium-sized deal, like bigger deal. Not because of the 12% number, which is a fact, but because Kansas City, there's a point, a tipping point, even for championship teams that have been together a long time, where the injuries mount up, people get older, there's underperformance. Again, we see this in every sport. The window only stays open so long. This is not the Yankees in the 50s. This is not that. You lose free agents. People come, people go. They get overly satisfied. They don't perform up to the level you're paying them. And you wonder if Kansas City's window, I'm not about to say it's shut, but maybe it's closing a little bit, and they know it. Teams know their mortality or when they're approaching it. So the Chiefs don't want to go 0-2 with an offense that doesn't seem particularly potent right now, which has injured players, and we don't know when they're going to get back. People just say, Tyreek Hill's going to get traded back. How the hell do we know that? So I think it's becoming a fairly big deal.
So I will tell you that it is at least a little deal, and it could be a big deal. We agree on this. If Kansas City loses, it could be a big deal. But if I understand this correctly, at the moment, Philadelphia on the road is a 1.5-point favorite, which means that Kansas City is an underdog at home, which means Patrick Mahomes is getting points to play at home. Let me tell you Patrick Mahomes' home record. It's 44-11. Something that might interest you. He's never been 0-2, and after losses, his record is 19-4. So it's almost irresistible to bet on if you're betting to bet on Kansas City. Kansas City's opening games are hard. The Chargers are good, and that game was in Brazil, which is sort of weird.
Throws you
Philadelphia handled them comfortably, in the Super Bowl. And as you say, there's some offensive pieces missing for Kansas City. So I actually can, Mike, I can see them losing. But I also would say if there's one team in the NFL that can go 0-2 and make the playoffs, it's Kansas City on muscle memory alone, it seems to me. I would never rule them out at 0-2. Never. I would not do it.
No. Not ruling them out at all. I sort of expect them to win this game. I sort of expect, Tony, and it may take a lot out of them. It may take too much out of them for the next 3 or 4 games. But I think that the Chiefs flex some championship muscle this week. I do. We're taking a break. Coming up.
Wait, that's for me to read. It says TK, not NW, right. For people that don't know how to watch a prompter. I'll get to it in a second. I'll just say, both these teams have been off for more than 7 days. Sort of like a bar. You know how Andy Reid does after